Barbecue on the veranda, Ramesh Babu Praggnanandhaa. Hello everyone, KosakChess here, and welcome again in the analyze of my game where I beat some of the top grandmasters. Today's topic would be the above mentioned Ramesh Babu Praggnanandhaa, the Indian prodigy who is now participating in the candidate tournament, and he has a great chance to win the tournament and fight for the most prestigious title in the chess world. I have played Ramesh Babu Praggnanandhaa in one of the Title Tuesdays, as I played against Vladimir Kramnik or against Gotham Chess. All of these analyses of these games you can find on my channel. Maybe you will see even the attachments above my head. Probably I will attach them. Okay, so I played against Praggnanandhaa on one of the Title Tuesdays. It was the round number 3. So both of us had great hopes for clinching the prizes money. I started the game with e4, c5, knight f3, d6, d4, c takes d4, knight d4, knight f6, knight c3, and a6. So the Najdorf variation. Of course, against the Najdorf, I can choose many options, but I decided that day to play the bishop e3 and go for an English attack. I really like the English attack because it's a really easy setup. My intention is to play queen d2, make a long castle, and push the kingside pawns far away, and of course with the intention to checkmate the opponent. That's why Praggnanandhaa plays a really logical move, h5. This move can be met nowadays really often because, of course, there's nothing wrong with allowing the g4 move, but in general, if you allow it, you have to be worried every single time that I will manage to create some unpleasant threats on the king side. So h5 makes perfect sense. Queen d2, knight bd7, and the move knight d5, which is the theoretical move. Of course, there's nothing wrong with the castle, but after bishop e7, I think I will have to play knight d5 anyway. Well, if I, for example, don't hurry with knight d5, he can play b5, bishop e2, knight b6, control the d5 square, and then create some attack on the queen side. So he stopped my any threats on the king side. He will prepare his own on the queen side. So knight d5 is the move that once it's theoretical, and twice I just want to put the knight on the center, gain some space, bishop d5, e d5. After knight takes d5, I would also take with the pawn and play c4. I would have these beautiful pawns in the center. Then we'll maybe try bishop e2 and play quite similarly, which happened in the game. Knight d5, bishop d5, e takes d5, and g6, bishop e2, bishop g7, and short castle. Sorry, I changed my direction a little bit. Since I have told you, with this pawn on h5, I don't have great chances to create an attack on the king side, so that's why I play the short castle, and now my main focus is to play on the queen side. b6. This move might look a little bit, mysterious, but the idea is pretty simple. In some variations, for example, if black plays castle, there's nothing wrong with the castle. If I play c4 and, for example, black just doesn't care, I have such ideas with playing knight a5, targeting the pawn on b7. If the pawn is protected, okay, now I have the b4, and now I can, without any problems, without any struggle, I can size the spies on the queen side. With this pawn b4 and c4, if I prepare it, I can even clinch the c5 move. So b6, it is just a prophylaxis of playing knight a5 move. But b6 move is also weakening the c6 square. You might ask, okay, but how can I exploit it? Let's see, let's watch. c4, short castle, and rook ac1. So a normal, typical developing moves, nothing strange happens. He plays queen c7, again, a normal, typical Sicilian move to put the queen on c7. Are you ready? Knight a1. What is this move all about? It looks stupid, it looks strange, it breaks all the basic rules we met in the kindergarten. So what is the reason of this move? Well, the knight on b3 doesn't do nothing. It is just on b3. But we don't like knights just doing nothing. Knight a1 is with the intention of playing knight c2, knight b4 and knight c6. A long maneuver, but it's really useful. And black played the move e4, so they want to open the dark squared bishop, also control the dark diagonal, and in potential exchanges after f takes e4, knight d4, they want to open the e file and targeting my bishops over there. They want to gain some space. Of course, it is not my business to open the position for black, so that's why I played the move f4 and knight g4 happened in the game. Black wants to chop the bishop on e3. They want to chop the dark square bishop. The only thing I know in the Sicilian is that I don't really want to give up this dark square bishop because it is really helpful to create the attack, to control the center, in general, really useful piece. So I chop off the knight, h takes g4, and I played knight b3, you know, still trying to target the c6 square. The f5 move might look really tempting because now it protects these two pawns. Now this pawn is protected and free. But the main drawback with the move f5 is that it weakens the e6 square. So without any hesitation I will play knight d4 for sure. Targeting will play knight c6 or knight d6. Knight d6 with the fork. So the Indian prodigy played knight c5, trying to exchange my knight. But I don't care. I want to put it on c6, knight d4, he plays knight d3, and rook c2, just to escape with the rook which has been attacked. Queen e7. Now I understood that if I give him great amount of time, he will play f5 in the correct moment, and with this knight on d3, which is protected with the pawn, which would be protected with the pawn, which would be protected with the pawn, I understood that I have to stop this idea, and I played f5 by myself, which was pretty good decision because now f5 is impossible. Maybe then I can create some potential attack to the e4 pawn, and also black is struggling with finding an idea. They played bishop e5, maybe to try create something on the king side. That's why I played g3 in order to avoid any of these ideas. Queen f6. So, you know, putting the queen on the one line with the rook is an ambitious try, but as I told you, I didn't really want to remove my pawn from the f5 right now, because after queen g6 there are still these f5 ideas. So I made my dreams come true. Knight c6, finally, after this long road, the knight finally comes there. Rook f8, bishop g5, attacking the queen, queen g7, and now I realized that if the rook moved from f8, so it wouldn't control the f5 square, I took the pawn on g6, queen g6, and played the move queen e3. I wanted to target the pawn. Maybe then I can even create some fork ideas. I also attacked the b6 pawn. The reason that I didn't play the knight d7 right now is I didn't like rook e7, bishop e7, bishop d4 check, and after king moves, there is a move e3. The queen is protecting the knight. The queen is threatening queen e4 check, with also gaining the free bishop on e7. I can play queen g2, but after rook e8 and some potential e2 in the future, even knight f2, there's so many things to calculate. There's so many things I don't really like. So I played queen e3 also of that reason, that I want to block this pawn and I don't want to allow him to give a check on d4. f5 move anyway, but now knight e7. Pragg, what are you doing? He was for sure hoping for some compensation for the sacrifice exchange. Or maybe he missed my next move, because he played queen g7. This is also a double threat. Bishop d4, I don't really want to allow. So queen g5 makes a perfect sense for me. Bishop d4 now doesn't win the queen, and I also, if I have a material advantage, for me it's really useful to and really logical to exchange pieces. Rook e8, queen g7, king g7, bishop g5. Yeah, so I'm exchange up against Praggnanandhaa. Cool. Bishop d4, king g2, king g6, and bishop f4. Targeting the pawn. And I have also some hopes that he will get rid of this knight on d3 and will chop off my bishop. I would be really happy because this knight is really annoying. It controls the e1 square, it attacks the b2 square. If the pawn pushes, I can't really stop him. I can't really stop the e1 square because of this really annoying knight. So I would really hope that one day he would take my bishop. But he didn't. He played a calm bishop c5 move. After the move e3, I would just probably block the pawn by playing rook e2. And now this knight lost his main defender, so I will maybe play rook d1, attacking these two pieces. This knight would be a little bit stupid placed right now if it has no defender at all. So bishop c5, b3, creating a pawn chain and still waiting for his decision. a5. Okay, rook e2. We are still waiting. Of course, I am exchange up, but I don't have that much to do there. Probably I just need to wait and hope that he's 2900, as we can see. He for sure wants to win this game in order to fight for the prizes. He is a better player on the paper. So, you know, he has all the conditions to play this game for a win. Finally, he pushed e3, but as I have told you, the knight now loses his defender. So I played rook d1, kicking off this knight. Knight f4, gf4. Of course, Praggnanandhaa has a great compensation there with this free pawn, protected with the bishop. This pawn is weak. He controls the h-file. He can even go rook h3, rook f3, attack the pawn and even maybe threat rook f2, something like this. Almost all of his pawns are on the dark squares, which means that his bishop can defend all of them and I can't really create some great attack. But the thing I know is that this bishop is the only defender of its pawn. So if I manage to somehow get rid of this bishop, I would gain this pawn. One of the best pawns in the black's position. So I played rook d3, making additional pressure first. He plays rook h3 with the intention of rook f3, threatening maybe to take the pawn, maybe give some check. And I play the move a3. I don't care about this pawn. I just want to play b4 and take the pawn in the future. Rook f3 and b4. He just chop, chop, chop. Rook e3. And now I am happy and now I am safe. There is no potential queen for the black in the future, right? Without this pawn, now I am safe. At least this is what I thought. Rook takes f4. Rook e6 check. King g5. Rook e8. You know, there might be some panic because as you can see we are playing on the seconds. We are both low on time. So anything and everything can happen. Rook g8 check. He activates his king. I still give a check. He still escapes. Rook e8 check. King takes d5 and rook f5. Now my rooks activated a little bit and I understood that if I remove this pawn, I will play h4, h5, h6, h7, promote to a queen. And I have great winning chances against Praggnanandhaa. King d4. The bar says the position is equal, but from the practical side, I can just exchange everything and push my pawn. He plays bishop c3, really natural and good looking move, to control the h8 square and also to make a potential space for its pawn. But I go h4, b5, h5, b4, h6, king c2. And king c2 is actually a losing blunder. Well, if you are playing on seconds, it is not that easy to spot that the move king c2 frees a c4 square, which I can use right now, because of the fact that the concrete variation works for me. The thing that Praggnanandhaa should do is to first go with the bishop in order to play the king c3. The thing is that he is now controlling the c4 square and he's defending the pawn with the king. But it's impossible to realize such a subtle difference when you are on seconds. The thing is that if I go rook g8 right now, b3, of course I promote first, but there is no force which can stop this pawn from the promotion. I can play rook b8 but king c2 with the next b1 queen. I can give a check, but king d2. Now still the promotion is in the air, so rook b8, king c2, probably this game would end like this. But he plays king c2. I immediately played rook c4, pinning the bishop. And that's why, why this variation works for us. If black plays b3, I play h7, and if black plays b2, I can create the queen. Black also creates a queen. Queen takes c3. I am rook up, and with the king on d1, there should be a checkmate. I think I can even play something like this, and there is a checkmate. So the thing is that after king c2, the pawn isn't protected with the king, so I can allow myself for playing rook c4. He plays king b1. It was probably a panic move, but there is no hope for him. There's actually no hope for him in this position. If he plays d5, I can chop the bishop. King c3 h7, and I promote with a check. So this is also one good idea, which gives us this rook c4 idea. He played king b1, h7, bishop e5, because rook c3 is the threat, and h8 queen. So he wants to control the h8 square. But as I have told you, this pawn isn't protected with the king. Take it. Play rook b8. Promote to a queen. Now stop the pawn from the promotion. And win the game against guy who likes barbecue on the veranda, Ramesh Babu, Praggnanandhaa.